Good. All right. Hey, what's up, guys? Jake with Legacy 4x4 here again, and today we're going to be working on my daily driver. So what we're going to be doing today is installing a bed liner into the back of my truck to hopefully replace some of this cheap plastic that has started to fall out over the last 5 years that I've owned this truck. Anyways, let's get started. Alright, so the back of my truck has the initial, like the plastic liner that comes from most of the dealers when you buy a truck. I bought my truck used, about a year old, with about 15,000 miles on it. My truck now has 100 on it, and I've owned it for about 5 years at this point. Over those years, I've abused the back of this truck. I use it for everything, but my needs are kind of changing. As my family has grown, specifically with dogs and with other stuff, I've noticed I need more storage space in the back of my truck to carry things like luggage and stuff like that when we go visit family, giving more room on the inside of the truck for the different animals that we have. What I've noticed also is I have torn up and ruined this plastic bed liner in the back of the truck. And instead of replacing it or just fixing it, my ultimate goal here is I want to spray in a new bed liner back here. I want to put a cover on the back of my truck so that I have a space to dry store luggage and things like that while I travel. And then I want to ultimately install some swing out storage containers over the fender wells of my truck to give me the space to replace this toolbox that I've had back here for a while. The bed liner, the plastic thing, is completely coming up, it's ripped up, and it doesn't really work very well anymore. So we're gonna rip all this old plastic out, take the toolbox out, and then we're going to spray in Raptor liner bed liner in the back of the truck. I've never used the Raptor liner product before. I've used similar stuff, so we're going to see how Raptor liner compares to some of the other bed liner that was put on the Willys or on the Commando or on trucks that I've built in the past. To start, first we got to remove the box and we got to remove all of this plastic bed liner. So let's get going with that first. Alright, with the old plastic bed liner out, we now have the bare metal inside the back of the truck to work with. As you can see, it is dirty, so the first step now is going to be to clean this out and wash it down with some soap and water and kind of try to get out a lot of the grease and dirt and rocks and other stuff that's back here in the back of the truck. So let's get to that next. Alright, so with the bed completely emptied out and initial cleaning done, the next step is to scratch up the surface of this paint here so that the Raptor liner has a good place to adhere to. It won't adhere very well to the perfectly clean paint like this. So to scratch up the paint, we're going to use a combination of hand sanding paper and then a angle grinder with a flap disc on it. We're going to have to clean up the paint pretty good. You don't have to get the paint completely off, you just need to get the paint scratched up so that the Raptor liner will adhere to it. I also have to completely clean off where these original toe mounts went, or the tie down straps went. When we were pulling them out, a lot of the bolts broke off in there, and so I'm going to just scratch that up perfectly and we're just going to re-weld those back into place. Super simple. Anyways, let's get to sanding next. Alright, so as y'all can see next to me, we got the entire bed scratched up pretty good. We got down to bare metal on a lot of it because we were using flap disc to make this go by quicker. But anything that didn't go down to bare metal still got a really good scratching from the disc and just from everything else that was going on. So this is about what you want it to be to get this Rhino liner or Raptor liner to really adhere properly to the bed. Now I'm going to spin the truck around and get the tailgate towards the front of the shop so I can get the welder to reach so that I can weld in those tie down latches, weld those into place, and then we're going to start to tape it off and get ready for paint next. Alright, so you guys can see as I was welding in those tie-down hooks, Declan was earning his keep here at the house and was going around and taping everything around the truck, making sure we don't get any overspray. We just used some shop towels because I couldn't find any plastic, so it is what it is. And we're using frog tape to kind of set the edges here, which worked well on another project that we did previously this week. Anyways, next step now is to set up the hardener and set up the air gun and then start spraying.
Come here, where is it? Come here.
Oh, I fucking hate going back there. That air compressor enclosure has become the home for all the spiders in the fucking neighborhood. Alright, so in preparation for doing this, it's a pretty simple, like most other bed liners, it's a two-part epoxy that you're going to be spraying. So on one side you have the hardener, and on the other you have the actual bed liner itself. The Raptor liner kit comes with a little measuring cup that has the line. You fill the hardener up to that line, you pull the hardener into here, and you just mix the bottle for 2 minutes, attach it to the spray gun, and you go. And then another small feature that I really liked about this, it's just a little stuff that really makes you happy, but if you pull up on the red handle, it gives you a little fill spout, so you're not going to spill this all over the place when you're doing this. So kudos to Raptor liner for some good design. Anyways, let's spray this thing. Alright, so as you can see, alright, as you guys can see here, we just finished spraying the truck, and it looks pretty good considering it's still soaking wet, and it just got sprayed about 5 minutes ago. We're going to let it sit for probably 20-30 minutes while we clean up the rest of the shop, and then we'll come through and start peeling off all this tape. But initial impressions, it sprayed super easily, and it gave a really nice coat with a really nice texture on the entire truck. We're going to see obviously how this holds up long term and how it looks like when it's dry, but the initial impressions is this was a really good bed liner, and it definitely came out a lot better than some of the other bed liner products I've used in the past. Good. Alright, so here it is, completely finished. Again, not 100% dry yet, we just waited long enough to get the tape off, but you can see that this is the finished product, and you can kind of see the crispness of some of these lines around the different parts of the bed. Anyways, let's give you guys a quick tour of what the whole bed looks like, and we'll close out this video and I'll talk about what comes next on this truck. Alright, so this finishes up this video, guys. I do have a few more projects planned for this truck. Specifically, right in this area and on the driver's side, I'm going to add some swing out column compartment things to replace my toolbox. I just bought one of them on Amazon. It should be coming in here pretty soon. So we'll install that, and if I like the way the first one looks, then I'll buy the other one for the driver's side. But that should replace the tools that I normally kept in the toolbox that I'm going to be getting rid of. And then after that, we're going to be adding a tonneau cover onto this thing once I decide which one I want to put on here. Anyways, guys, it was another super fun video and a good time hanging out with Declan, knocking out some of these projects that have been on the list for a while. I hope y'all like it. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. That'll do.